Hi, this is Rob Davidson, CEO of CURE Pharmaceutical. Thank you for joining me at the Noble Conference today. Just want to chat about CURE Pharmaceutical, where we started back in 2011, and take you through all the way to 2020 and the future. So I appreciate everyone's attention and joining the presentation today. So CURE is a vertically integrated pharmaceutical drug delivery company. We do everything from feasibility of different dose forms, and we'll talk about that a little bit, all the way through to development, manufacturing, and then commercialization. The nice thing about that is the vertical integration allows us to protect our IP and also manage the process from lab to final commercialized product. CURE was founded in 2011, really a mission-based pharmaceutical company. We founded the company based on the really looking at how we can develop better delivery systems or better dose forms for delivering and distributing into emerging markets, and also increasing efficacy in the dose forms. So when patients take the product, how can we get it to be a better approach to getting more drug active in the body? So that was in 2011. We started out with a couple of NIH grants working on pediatric malaria medication for pediatric malaria. They were basically developing powdered formulas that they had to mix in drinking water. After spending some time in Africa with a couple of the founders, we recognized pretty early on that that's an antiquated approach to delivering drug actives, especially since clean drinking water is very difficult to find in a lot of these emerging markets in Africa, especially in the rural areas. The clinics just did not have the clean drinking water. So they were mixing these powders into juices and sodas and really rendering the active ineffective. So we basically launched the company and started to look at delivering using thin film technology, something that looks like a Listerine strip. I'm sure people are familiar with that. And this thin film technology allows us to put actives into it. Very difficult process at the time. There wasn't a lot of technology out there that allowed you to put actives into a thin film and keep them stable. Over the years, from 2011 to 2015 around, we were able to develop this platform technology that allowed us to put high amounts of active and also multiple actives in the thin film. The key with that is the ability to deliver drug actives effectively to the patient. No drinking water is needed. And effectively stabilizing the active within the polymer matrix. So when I talk about thin film technology, it's not the only dose form we do. We are a drug delivery company. So we have other dose forms that we've integrated into the technology. We do transdermal topicals as well as sublinguals, could be chewables, and as well as thin film technology. We launched our first really developed thin film product in 2017 with a partner, Pharmaceuticals, a very high dose vitamin D, once a week dose. That was the first real product into the international markets, as well as really launching a key, patented, protected, if you will, thin film technology. And I'll get into the patent landscape a little bit more. Early on, we recognized that the thin film technology lent itself to these very difficult actives to deliver. And a lot of these actives that are lipophilic, they're not soluble, are difficult to deliver in pills and liquids and other formats. So what we did is continue to develop our platform so we can incorporate the difficult molecules. And one of those molecules happens to be cannabis. Cannabinoid molecules are pretty difficult. They're very low bioavailability, low solubility. So we started a project with Technion Institute in Israel, looking at the different cannabinoid molecules, looking at certain cancer research, and can we deliver and create a better bioavailability to those actives using some of our technology. And some of the technology that we have, besides the polymer thin film, is really encapsulation technology. How do we protect the molecule, and how do we deliver that into the blood more effectively? And we have that approach, and we built out that platform. We have a computational library of different encapsulation technologies, polymer science that we utilize, really depending on the chemical structure of the molecule that we're trying to deliver, which really means it's a broad platform. It expands into not just pharmaceutical prescription drugs, but it could be nutrients, vitamins, supplements, and other, actives that are pertinent to delivering into the body more effectively and conveniently. We did have an acquisition, Chemistry Holdings, back in 2019. That came with capital. We brought in about $10 million in capital with that, and new technology and IP with it. And then we introduced shortly after that, using that technology, we introduced several other dose forms. And in 2020, we really looked to build out our vertical, wellness vertical, and that acquisition was with CURR Labs. I'm going to discuss that a little bit more on the timeline, and also our IND filing with sildenafil, which is really the first prescription drug that CURE has been developing in a thin film, sildenafil being the generic form of Viagra for ED. And we're in the process. We just announced the approval of our IND, and we should be in early studies by mid to end of Q1. So significant progress, as I discussed in 2020, acquisition completed in CURR Labs. Before I get into that, though, when I talk about the platform technology, we always look at it in multiple verticals. We have a pharmaceutical vertical. Because the platform lends itself to delivering different actives, it could be a pharmaceutical vertical, a nutraceutical vertical, and then a wellness vertical as well. And that's the cannabis vertical, wellness vertical, and pharmaceutical vertical. And then out of those verticals, you can carve out a pet vertical as well. So the platform lends itself to many different areas of delivering active ingredients. And that's really key to know, because that allows us to build out these verticals independently and potentially have exits in those verticals themselves. I think that's very important for shareholders to really understand that the platform leverages itself for multiple exits. We acquired CURR Labs in 2020. That gave us the wellness vertical already built out with revenue and branding, as well as a multi-pronged distribution channel. And that channel is retail outlets, as you would know, CVS and Rite Aid and all the typical drugstore pharmaceutical distribution channels, Bed Bath & Beyond on the skincare products that we have. So that's a typical retail. But really a key driver was the D2C platform that CURR Labs has developed, and the wellness platform that they utilize to distribute these products and create these continuity kind of membership programs where consumers can look and see what their needs are, and they can actually acquire those products through this D2C distribution channel. As you probably know, with the recent pandemic, unfortunately, D2C has been a major growth area for distribution. For many reasons. People don't want to go to stores. People either can't go to stores. So D2C, direct to consumer, that's what that stands for, has been a fast growing distribution channel. And we pivoted and looked at CURR Labs and said, well, this is important for us to build out that wellness component and really be able to distribute the products to the consumers when they need it. And more consumers are taking health into their own hands. They're excited about that distribution channel. We closed on $10 million in financing in 2020. We achieved some milestones on the manufacturing accreditation side. We earned our NSF certification, CGMP certification, which was exciting to us. NSF is one of the top independent certifying agencies to show that you're really operating under a CGMP process. We have a 25,000 square foot manufacturing facility in Oxnard, California. As I said, we are vertically integrated. We have our own research lab. We also have a DEA Schedule 1 license. I don't think I mentioned that. The DEA Schedule 1 license allows us to do the research and manufacturing on the different cannabinoid molecules that we are studying. So I think that's really important to know. We've launched several products this year. I won't get too far into that, but the vitamin D3 is a very important product to get out to as many consumers as possible. You probably see some of the research on that, especially in relation to the current pandemic. There's some good data and support that shows, it does have protective function within the immune system, vitamin D3, and important to make sure you have enough vitamin D3. We also, with CURR Labs acquisition, just signed on Nicole Kidman. She's everyone probably knows who she is. I don't really have to introduce her, but she's an amazing actress, great brand ambassador, and really a good partner. She's actually taking a lot of time and effort into looking at the products and figuring out, on the skincare side, what the real need is, what's the unmet need out there, and how do we create products using our technology to meet those unmet needs. And then last, the IND was approved by the FDA, and we are excited about that. We are in PK studies for that, in Q1 currently, and hope to have some results in Q2, early Q2. The acquisition, we talked about how the acquisition allowed us to have revenue and branding. The first 3 quarters of the year consolidated pro forma. We did about 6.4 million in revenue. We have not filed Q4 yet, so I can't speak about that, but the growth is looking good, and projected growth for 2021. We're not giving guidance, but we're very excited about the growth already showing, and we expect continued growth in that area and continued expansion in distribution channels in all areas, which is very exciting for getting our products out there. The existing brands that we have out there are a multitude of SKUs for skincare as well as the ingestibles. We did launch 4 products of our own, NutriStrips, and that's sleep products, vitamin D3, as we discussed. We have an immune support product that's going out there and an energy product as well. That's more on the nutraceutical wellness side. So why do we talk about the verticals, and why do we play in these verticals? I think they're pretty self-explanatory. The pet vertical alone is a $9.6 billion marketplace, so we think if we could take small little pieces of that pet vertical, and if you think about delivering supplements and drugs to dogs and cats, how difficult is it to take pills and to give it to your dog, or especially your cats? Very difficult. I mean, I wrap peanut butter and bread into my dog's pill, or embed the pill in the bread and peanut butter. And my dog, for some reason, his big dog, Rottweiler, has so much dexterity in their tongue that they eat around the pill and spit out the pill and swallow the peanut butter and the bread. So that's a common theme in my house. So the ability to make a thin film taste like peanut butter, mucoadhesive, with the drug active, incorporated in it, I think that's such an effective way to deliver drug actives to the pet market, and I think that's going to be fast growing. We do have IP around that as well. The beauty care obviously speaks for itself. Skincare market is exponentially growing, especially on the D2C side. People like having products show up at their house constantly, once a month. So we have a systems and program in place with that, using Nicole Kidman as our brand ambassador, as well as our partner. Health and wellness, the pandemic has really sparked the consumers' really demand for products that allow them to increase their immune function and stay healthy. We're seeing that growth exponentially. We're playing in that vertical for that reason. And then obviously the pharmaceutical vertical, just the sildenafil market itself. I mean, it's no pun intended, but it is a large market. It's 2.5 billion in dollars globally. So that's why we're in those areas. We're also using sildenafil really as kind of that launch pad in the prescription drug market, really to educate consumers about thin film and its ability to deliver an active more effectively, potentially, which is more convenient too. If you think about it, you can carry it in your wallet. You don't need drinking water. It's discreet, which is really, really important. And that's something that we're excited about, that product being launched, and the ability to really educate the consumer marketplace about it. We're obviously dealing with the trends in the marketplace. I think I mentioned this. I went ahead talking about the pet market, the health conscious consumers, which I think everybody can agree that's exponentially growing, and that's why we're playing in that area. And then CBD market is also very large. The issues with CBD market, everyone knows, quality control, quality assurance, and really just the effective delivery of these actives. I can go on and on about studies that show CBD and the cannabinoid minors, are very difficult to deliver, and really people don't even know what they're getting in a dose form. So to really get precise dosing, and that's really the key with thin film, precise dosing. That's really important about to get precise dosing. And if you think about dosing with pills, pills are difficult. If you have a 100 milligram pill, you want to snap it in half to 50 or 25. Very difficult. Thin film, really, it's homogeneous. It's concentrated throughout the thin film. You can actually tear a thin film in half or cut it precisely in half. You can get precise dosing. You're not going to have fractured pills and things like that. So you can actually titrate, and that's really the future of thin film, titrating for pediatric patient population and different adult populations. If you think about it, the ability to titrate at the clinical setting, the ability to titrate, for pediatrics who have difficulty swallowing pills, geriatrics, different sized dogs and cats. Thin film is perfect for that. You can cut it to a specific size and get the specific dose much more readily than you can with a pill. So that we believe is the future of that market. So when we talk about the position, what's compelling as far as how we're positioned, again, we talked about pharmaceutical, the dose forms, the IP, the ability to affect that vertical, the wellness vertical, the skincare vertical, the pet vertical. We basically are able to play in all those areas very effectively. We don't have the branding expertise in the pharmaceutical side, so what we look to do from a strategy standpoint is align ourselves with pharmaceutical companies that have the distribution channel as well as have the branding expertise to launch these products. And we're looking for non-dilutive capital and partnerships with the pharmaceutical side. We are in discussions with several groups right now on the sildenafil product because of the fact that we have the IND approved. That is our approach on pharma. Now on the health and wellness, we obviously have the branding expertise and the distribution channels, CURR Labs, same with the beauty side and some of the other areas. So talk a little bit about the pipeline. The sildenafil product on the pharma side is the one that is advancing the fastest because we started that earlier. A 505(b)(2) pathway, which is typically an abbreviated process compared to filing a new chemical entity. What that means is the drug is already approved. However, we're changing the way it's delivered, the dose form. We also are working on several other new areas which we haven't mentioned publicly yet. And I will not tell you what the actives are, but in those areas, of antiviral, CNS, two different CNS products, and the cannabis side as well. And those are all for pharmaceutical side. That's a prescription. Just keep in mind, we don't play in the recreational cannabis side at all. We play in the pharmaceutical side under FDA and DEA guidelines, which, a lot of drug delivery companies don't have that Schedule I DEA license that we have. On the health and wellness side, which we feel is a fast-growing vertical for us, we are, in addition to what I mentioned earlier on the products that we've launched, we actually have a heart health product that we're launching in Q3, along with a brain life, kind of a focus product. People are really looking at that cognitive advantage. How do I stay focused throughout the day? How do I stay even? I mean, with the pandemic and just being, bottled up, so to speak. I think people need a little bit more help staying focused and energized and enthused about going throughout the day. And then again, another important thing for just healthcare in general, wellness, and that's the key. Healthcare is not just prescription drugs; it's wellness, it's nutrients, it's really taking care of yourself holistically. NutriStrip's Immune for Life has multiple actives. A lot of them used actually in treatment, for current respiratory infections and viruses. So, that's exciting for us, these new product formulations and launches. I didn't mention yet, we do have, and that might be my next slide, I think, the dose forms we do have, the multiple dose forms, is the CUREfilm, which I talked about a lot. We have CURE drops. And remember, let me just pause a little bit on that. With the different actives and the different polymers encapsulations, we can integrate some of these together. For example, thin film, CUREfilm can be used topically as well. CURE drops can be integrated into a cream or a thin film product. So we use a lot of we cross-pollinate some of the technologies that we have to make it a better dose form and a better delivery system. We did have a significant, I know it was on the slide, I didn't mention it, but we had a significant study on CBD, delivering CBD in a thin film, using a proprietary emulsion that we have to deliver the CBD in a thin film. And we did that versus soft gel in human study, PK study. And, the results were, significantly better using the thin film for what we were looking for, emergency medicine and quick dosing into the blood, and it was significantly better. So that was pretty exciting. And then we have the CURE drops, which is another way of delivering. It could be just sublinguals, as you see kids get, pediatrics, pet side as well. And then CURE cream is also a product that we work, and that's the skincare product that we're integrating into Nicole Kidman's brand. And then we have the chewable products that we are working on as well. So the proprietary encapsulation technology and CUREfilm that we have, really the goal here is to increase bioavailability, do greater solubility, enhance the permeation of the active. We could deliver buccal, we could deliver sublingual. Just really depends on what our goals are for delivery. Specific release of profiles, we could do cross-link polymers. We can do, time release. We can do a quicker active, a quicker release profile depending on the polymer to more of a time-released, active. So you can really manage what your end goal is on both the, bioavailability and pharmacokinetic profile overall. And the other thing is, look, people don't like swallowing pills. Studies show 40% population have some form of dysphagia, which is pretty big. I mean, if you look at just the different, verticals like pediatrics, very difficult time swallowing pills, not an effective way to deliver. Geriatrics, another thing, the dysphagia increases as you get older. And then just, patients, cancer patients that are, oncology patients on chemo that can't keep things down because of the chemo and the nauseousness. So thin film has a really great opportunity to help those areas out. And then we talked about the pet a little bit, getting those pills down. Dogs and cats are not easy at all. So better patient experience. And when you have better patient experience, what do you have? You have better compliance. People don't mind taking the medication. They have a better experience. They're not getting nauseous. They're not trying to choke down a large pill. And that's important to us because that's part of our mission, is better patient experience. So the funding outlook, we did raise $10 million. It helps build our the uses of the cash. We continue to build our platform. We do have 16 issued patents, somewhere around 22 patents pending, and we're constantly looking to increase our knowledge base in the dose forms as well as in delivery of these different actives. So we look to not only have these patents and formulations and trade secrets that help protect the company's IP and create that barrier to entry. We had advanced our pharma pipeline with the use of proceeds. We have a full build-out facility, multiple lines that allow us to manufacture our products and keep quality control over those products and protect the IP. And then future funding, we expect that the $5 million in addition, we raised $10 million. We took down $5 million. Well, we believe that the tranche, should really help us to achieve our milestones. So just real quick to end, we have proprietary formulations. We have an experienced management team. We do have an FDA facility, NSF certified, and we have a Schedule I DEA license. We have the broad portfolio of products that we discussed with the different verticals and distribution channels. The markets that we play in on a combined basis are $55.8 billion. And we expect to be cash flow positive, first half of 2022. So thank you.
Thanks for your presentation, Robert. That's a great overview of the company. I am really intrigued by the fact that the verticals you are going after. And my first question would be, I noticed you mentioned health and wellness being the major growth driver. Do you expect that to continue in the coming quarters and years?
Yeah, I do. I think the train's left the station. I think consumers really want to take health into their own hands. I think part of that is due to the pandemic. I think that's really alerted to people to really staying healthy throughout the year and not just responding when you get sick. I think that's really a key component. And I think even, if you look at the cannabis market, people are really doing that on their own, right? They're taking that into their own hands, buying CBD products and things like that. So that health and wellness nutraceutical side, if you will, I see exponentially growing in the next, 5 to 10 years.
That's nice, good to know. And my follow-up question will be the fourth quarter earnings. I think you achieve around 1 million in revenues. And number one, what percentage of it is coming from which product? And number two, how are the Q4 revenues that we should be expecting?
So we're still on growth track. You're talking about combined revenues of Labs and CURE. So we did 6.4 million in revenue combined pro forma for the first 3 quarters. We have not finalized our Q4 results yet, so we're not giving that out. We have not made that public, but we are growing, so that's a good thing. We're trending well. And we expect the 2021 to be a breakout year for us.
That sounds great. I think it's quite impressive that you will be cash positive in 2022. So I expect the growth to be much larger, I guess, in 2021 timeline. So another question we receive is, are you planning to uplist on the NASDAQ, and perhaps the timeline for that?
We are. Now, I don't control the timeline. We are in the application process where we definitely believe we need to be on the larger exchanges. Obviously, that brings in more institutional investors, more eyes on the company and on the stock. But we are in process of uplisting right now.
That's helpful. And another question we received from the audience is Nicole Kidman's involvement. Does she have incentives for the sales? What is her involvement? And does she have equity interest or bonus based on the sales increasing?
That's a great question. And, a lot of people have brand ambassadors and they utilize them, and they put their name out there and picture out there. This is a little different. The deal we have with Nicole, she is a partner of ours. She's incentivized by sales. That's the bulk of her incentive. So she knows she has to drive sales if she wants to, have any, real consideration. And she's really very active in looking at how to brand it, how to get the message out there. And I think you're going to see a lot in this quarter and next quarter with Nicole Kidman and, our branding approach.
That sounds good. And another question we receive is if sildenafil tablets are generic, and why is there a market for a branded thin film version?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Delivering sildenafil in pills is very different than delivering in thin film, right? It's more convenient. It's more discreet. It is a pretty good point of difference in delivery. And there is potential that you are going to get a faster acting, result. And that could be important for the use of sildenafil.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks for your participation. That covers all our questions. We look forward to following the story. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.